Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there! Day 3 of blue skies. I can't believe it. Woohoo! It definitely elevates one's mood. Whoa. I left you yesterday with incorrect information, and I need to remedy that right now. I said that today was my last show of the year. That is incorrect. I also, if you'll recall, had said yesterday I had not slept the night before and I was a little discombobulated. I'm going to blame it on that somehow I thought it was a week later than it was. Or it's just a rush to get to the new year. Although anybody rushing to get to 2024 is out of their mind. Anyway, I will be here next week. It's the last week of the year that I will take off. So, yeah, I will be in the saddle all next week. I would like to start today on some kind of subjects I used to do back in the day, back before we became a nation teetering on the brink, back before we were a nation so divided, back before we had smartphones and stupid people. I want to go back and do the kinds of things I used to do, which is talk about life, about people, about motivations, about weird things we do and or don't, because a number of things have been percolating in my ever restive mind, and I want to throw them out. If you've got anything you want to add, you'll recall that you can email me during the program at Lynn Cullen Show at gmail.com. And you can also call at 412-200-5686. Okay. I have a dog, and he's been very good for my health, except for when he leaves his toys all over the floor, which is every day. And I don't see one as I am limping around in the house and I step on one and lose my balance. I do think, and I have told my dog this, I know you love me very much and I love you. So it's ironic that I think you may well be the cause of my demise. How'd I get on that? Oh, the dog. So I walk the dog, you got to walk a dog. And I love walking at night, especially in the winter, when, you can see into people's houses. I love it. It's fun. And not that I'm a peeping Tom, but there's something about the quiet of a winter night where you're the only one out there. And, you end up wondering about people. You see a picture hanging on someone's wall and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I just love it. I love it. But here's something I've noticed this year more than ever before. And it's about lights. There are houses in which it seems every light in the house is on. top to bottom. And in my neighborhood, there's some big old Pittsburgh houses. And man, and it's not just like it's Christmas and so people light up. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying every room seems to have lights on. And this catapulted me back to my childhood and to my father, my dear father's voice. Turn the lights off. Did your father say that? I bet he did. Turn the lights off. There was this, I think, pretty common ethic back then that you didn't waste electricity. The knowledge that you had to pay for every light that was burning. And it was only wise to, if you're leaving the room, turn the lights off. This continued into the next generation. One of the things on my at my brother's home is a wonderful caricature of him done by his daughter when she was a child. So this has to be like 25 years ago or more. She did a cartoon, a just dead-on caricature of my brother screaming, "Turn the lights off!" And I have a feeling that that is something. It can't just be my family. I do think it was, we were not yet a people that were so drunk on consumption of everything. It's something else I've noticed walking in my neighborhood, what people throw out. Perfectly good things. They're done with them. They don't like them. They toss them. I have one neighbor in particular. I'm just blown away by what that household puts in the garbage. And more than once, I have, I don't mean to sound like a weirdo, but I have, well, in the one case, I asked permission. I said, "Are you throwing those out?" Because I know I didn't need them, but I knew a lot of other people might. They were bicycles. And I said, I'll take them and, get them to a place that refurbishes them and then gives them to kids. But why is there, we didn't used to be such a just throwaway society. And in some respects, our economy depends on us being like this because we have to keep on consuming. Our culture, our economy loves when we throw out a perfectly good thing because then we have to spend money to get something to replace it. We didn't used to be like that in my lifetime. And then I think even much, because I'm an old crone, I think even much, when did this happen that we became this kind of lavishly consumeristic? This sort of, turn the lights off. And now, of course, knowing about what's happening to our climate, and knowing that the generation of electricity requires power, which has impacts well beyond the light in your bathroom, why is it that we feel no responsibility or connection? And I think there's a sense of like, well, it's just me. Big deal. I throw this out, so what? And it is, of course, the accumulation of our individual profligacy. I don't mean to be a scold, but I do want to scream when I walk down the streets of my neighborhood at night. Turn the lights off. Of course, then I couldn't look in your window either. Just an observation. But when you make an observation like that in the quiet of a cold winter night, taking a walk with your dog, it leads you to think about other stuff too. Right? I've been trying to, speaking of throwing things out, I've been trying to unload from my possession the accumulation of stuff that we all have. But as we get older, and you look at some of that stuff and you think, what? I don't use it. It's of no value to me. For that matter, it's of no value to anybody else either, which is usually not the case, but there are some instances of that. So there are closets in my upstairs that are empty now. There are dressers. The drawers are empty. And I feel I don't want to be bringing more in. I want to be lessening the burden of stuff, not for me so much, but for those who will be here when I am gone. Because I think if you leave this earth and you leave a place filled with your accumulated stuff, that you're leaving that to some poor soul, usually your children, family members, and they're going to have to. It seems that we should all try to take care of that as much as we can before, where you can think and redirect things, where, this can be recycled and that can go to the free store, and this can go to Goodwill, and that can go to the veterans and Salvation Army and all that, where you can just drawer by drawer and room by room do that kind of thing. That's a good deed, I think, and I think it makes sense. And very little qualifies as garbage. Almost everything is usable by somebody else. And in these dark days of winter, what better way to spend time if you're stuck in your house than, I don't know, drawer of the day. Do you know how good it feels to clean out one drawer? to organize it. I sometimes, after I've done it, I will sit and stare with such pride and sense of accomplishment at the contents of a drawer. So I came upon a piece in the Atlantic today, which was titled, "Why You Might Want to Throw Out Your Trophies." And I thought, this sounds right up my alley. I got a box that I haven't touched in my basement that is filled with plaques and awards. Golden Quill, 1986. And they're big suckers. I mean, they're big and they're bulky. And they're just lying there gathering dust. And I'm thinking, why do you keep these? You don't display them. If you were to toss them, it doesn't mean you didn't get a Golden Quill Award in 1986. And anyway, you're never looking. So I do have one award. Here, I got it right here. Wait. I'm going to get up a little bit. Anyone who's ever eaten at my home knows this one. Yeah. Okay, wait. I got it. Okay. This is heavy. And it says it came from someplace, Smithcraft in Bridgewater, PA. They're the ones who made it. It's a big, heavy plaque. And it says, presented to Lynn Cullen for her support of the Mortgage Bankers Association of Southwestern Pennsylvania. And the year is at the bottom, 2000, it says. So this was 23 years ago. The reason this one is there is, first of all, I don't support the Mortgage Bankers Association of Southwestern Pennsylvania. Never did, never have, never will. But I got this thing that has to weigh about 3 pounds that says that I do or did. And I keep it and use it anytime I have company that I'm feeding. I use it as a trivit. It's a marvelous trivit. I mean, it's thick and there's no way any hot thing that's been put, I can't imagine all the food that has been placed on this thing and then consumed, I was going to say happily, maybe in some cases, by my guests. And invariably, someone will see it and say, why are you using that like that? And you see, it gives me the opportunity to tell the story. So I guess I'll tell the story. But in this case, this is why trophies in general of any kind, citations, things that at the time you were proud as they say now, you were humbled. No, you were the opposite. You were proud to have gotten. I was not proud to have gotten it. I was asked by someone, I don't know who, if I would speak to a large gathering of the Mortgage Bankers Association, Southwestern Pennsylvania, at the Sheraton Hotel in Station Square? Yes. And it was a big event. You know, tons of tables, lots of food and drink. And I was, I guess, the entertainment. I was supposed to give an entertaining speech. And when I was asked to do it, I thought, ugh, that's not my crowd. What do I want to talk to a bunch of mortgage bankers? This is before they tanked the economy, right? Right. And so I thought, I know, I'll ask for an exorbitant sum of money. Now, understand that when people like on TV and radio are asked all the time to MC or give a speech here and there, it is rare that they are offered any compensation. Sometimes we're told, we could give an honorarium in your name to the charity of your choice, whatever, that's fine. So this is not generally a money-making endeavor. And if I were, and often if it's for a nonprofit, of course you don't ask any money. At least I never did. But in this case, I thought mortgage bankers. So I asked the exorbitant sum of $1,000. I said, oh, sure, I'd be glad to do it, but my fee is $1,000. Thinking that'll take care of that. And damn if the person, whoever it was I was talking to, didn't say, okay. So I was stuck. My goose was cooked. And I had to write a special speech because whatever I normally would have talked about, I didn't think the mortgage bankers would be into it. So I had to work. I mean, I worked on this thing because it wasn't my usual crowd. And I still wanted it to be entertaining. And I showed up that night. And damn if I didn't do it. And then when I was done, they presented me with this plaque. And they slipped me an envelope. Thank you, I said. And as quickly as was possible, I ran to my car to make my getaway. I, to this day, can point to the exact place my car was parked. I got in my car. I put the plaque on the passenger seat. I greedily ripped open the envelope. There was a check for $100. I sat there. It didn't, I mean, here's where you find out I am not somebody who likes confrontation. I didn't storm back in. I didn't the next day call. I didn't do anything. I swallowed it. I drove away with steam coming out of my ears. I came into my house with a plaque, $100. And I don't know when, but very soon after, I put this plaque in a place no other plaques were, where I just grabbed it now. Yep, because I thought, I'm not forgetting this. And I'm going to tell this story about the Mortgage Bankers Association of Southwestern Pennsylvania as often as I can. And so this is the one plaque that I do have that has given me a great deal of entertainment in some ways and utility. There's not a better trivet. I got a few other trivets in there, but this is my go-to. Okay. So that's one. But I was telling you, I was reading this story why you might want to toss out your trophies. And this is by Arthur C. Brooks. And he says, you know, if mementos of personal triumphs are starting to make you feel like a has-been, you might be better off without them. And man, did that ring a bell in my head. Because all of the stuff I have like that is like from the 80s, the 90s, and you know, dribbling into this century. But I haven't gotten many awards or plaques lately. So you look at them and it reminds you of how your success is gone. And so Brooks says, you know, we must face the inevitable fact that our worldly triumphs will decay with the passage of time. And this realization can be a source of bitterness and keep us stuck in the past. The trophies, the plaques end up mocking us, but only if we let them. If instead we choose to celebrate and remember what truly matters in our lives, we can enjoy the past, the present, despite what time brings our way. And he says, it doesn't matter if it's a silver cup for winning the pickleball tournament or a picture of yourself with a celebrity. Such awards and mementos might seem like a simple matter, but they're not. Trophies attempt simultaneously to stop time and then to substitute a concrete object for an abstract experience. And because we value our successes, our victories so highly, we value the associated trophies in ways that might seem irrational. I mean, he goes on to talk about social scientists doing studies, and it's just a very, I mean, it's a human thing. Memorializing, he says, extraordinary victories is different from recalling sweet moments in ordinary life. Although the victories are happy times you can hope to replicate, they can also set up unhappy comparisons with your former self. You know what? I have to say, seeing this this morning, and I haven't read the whole thing. I mean, I'm seeing right now that he's saying none of this is to suggest you should erase your past. Personal mementos are fine, but the problem with conventional trophies is that where your happiness is concerned, they get the time frame wrong and commemorate the wrong things. I guess you have to listen. You want to read it, you read it yourself. He ends with this. The poet Shelley wrote, I remember having to read this in school. Ozymandias. I think that's how it was pronounced. Ozymandias. He says Shelley's Ozymandias is intended as a cautionary tale that juxtaposes ephemeral human magnificence with the remorseless passage of time. The poem ends with these forlorn lines. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. It was, Ozymandias was this great, I think he was really Ramses II. He was a great pharaoh, and huge statues had been made of him, but the statues, even with time, decayed to nothing. And Brooke says, I have been to the Egyptian deserts once ruled by Ramses II, but I had an entirely different reaction to the sand stretching into the distance. I found them indescribably beautiful, not sad. No doubt this was the same beauty that Shelley, contemplating the great king's fate, could have marveled at. But reflecting on the illusory glory symbolized by the monarch's derelict statue, Shelley's traveler failed to enjoy the natural glory before his very eyes. So don't make the Ozymandias mistake and miss the beauty of your present by fetishizing the monuments of your past. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to dump that box of golden quills and awarded this and awarded that. And that will be something that'll have to go in the trash. There's no reason they are of no use to anybody else. I mean, yeah, an occasional one might be a trivit. The golden quills are not trivets because they have this sort of raised golden quill on them, so it's not a flat surface. And anyway, I have no reason to, do to the people who gave me those awards what I do to the Mortgage Bankers Association. So, but yeah, I want to thank you, Arthur Brooks, for helping me get rid of another box. And that one is, yes, garbage. Okay. So one other thing, again, staying away from the horrors of the news. And I don't know that I'm going to be able to do it through the entire show, but I am, unlike almost every one of my friends, not a traveler. I cannot tell you how many times I am asked the question, are you traveling anywhere for the holidays? Are you planning a summer vacation? Been anywhere interesting lately? And I always somewhat embarrassedly and meekly reply, no. I'll say, if I travel, I just go to Green Bay, see my mom. Or maybe I go to Ann Arbor and see my brother and his family, or Chicago, see Susan. That's the extent of my travel. And my friends, oh my God, you can't keep track of them. I can't. I have two friends in particular they're all over the globe. Just got back from Antarctica and heading off to Bali. that kind of thing. France 5 times a year. Back and forth and back and forth and I'm thinking, I would rather shoot myself. And it seems like this is a very contrarian point of view. So imagine my thrill when I saw that one of the most read stories in the Atlantic this year was something by Agnes Callard called The Case Against Travel. I haven't read the whole thing. I haven't even come close because I just saw this morning. But I will relish reading it. Now, I speak as, and this is, I know, next to, this is a seemingly a very unpopular point of view. And I have often said one of the problems with Americans is that not enough of us have traveled abroad and seen that the world is not the United States and that things operate differently and sometimes better in other places. So the travel I have done has, I think, benefited me, has given me some wonderful experiences and interactions with people I otherwise wouldn't have met. I don't mean to suggest otherwise. But the idea of travel now makes my blood run cold. Let's start with airplanes. I mean, air travel. It is about as horrific as, well, in my life, it has never been so bad. And I took my first airplane trips when I was a young kid, and those were propeller planes that, sat on the tarmac with their tails down, and you had to walk in the back and walk like up a hill to get to one of the seats. Little teeny prop planes. Those were my first experiences. But those were wonderful in terms of comfort and amenities and all of that. And well, I don't have to. I mean, anyone who's been on an airplane recently. And I'm even, 9/11 and TSA and taking your shoes off crap. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the airline industry and what they do to their customers. It is so stressful. It is so uncomfortable. It is it's often debilitating. If you're a tall person, I don't know how tall people, whatever. But the case against travel looks to be a really good read to me. He starts out by saying, what is the most uninformative statement that people are inclined to make? I'll let you sit on that. What is the most uninformed statement that people are inclined to make? The author says, my nominee would be, I love to travel. She goes on to say, that statement tells me very little about a person because everyone, nearly everyone, likes to travel. And yet people say it because for some reason they pride themselves both on having traveled and on the fact that they look forward to doing so. Now, nothing wrong with any of that, and all you travelers, all you fellow travelers, nothing wrong with that. I, contrarian here, am in such a minority. And she goes on to quote a bunch of people who were in that minority. G.K. Chesterton, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Socrates, Kant, on and on and on. And some of the quotes are very funny. She says what's interesting is that no one wants to be a tourist because that's considered. So often when we travel, she says tourism is what we call traveling when other people are doing it. If you understand that, you understand my laugh because it's true. And then she hits on something that's also true. And I'm sending this out to those of you who don't know it. And although people like to talk about their travels, few of us like to listen to them. It resembles listening to somebody telling you about the dream they had last night, which, if you haven't been told, nobody wants to hear. One argument for travel, and it's, I suggested, I certainly have had some incredible, eye-opening, memorable experiences traveling, is that travel enlightens you, educates you about the world, and connects you to people you otherwise wouldn't know. And even she quotes the dyspeptic Samuel Johnson, who said, "What I gained by being in France was learning to be better satisfied with my own country." Well, there is that. And you know what's also funny is all of these travelers, my friends, when they get home, they're always exhausted and so grateful to be home. Until all of a sudden, they got to get the hell out again. Travel, people who are like this, travel gets branded as an achievement. And then she goes on to question, is that really what it is? So I think I haven't read it all, but I think that's just, what's happening that I'm hearing some strange noises? Okay. What is that I'm hearing? I'm hearing, what is that? Now I'm hearing water running. Uh-oh. What is that? Why am I hearing water running? I feel like I'm losing my mind. Now I'm hearing birds. What's going on? Excuse me. Hello? Am I losing my cotton picking mind? I'm not kidding. Nothing on this end, says Kevin. Well, okay. It's very odd. Birds tweeting. Water running. Now a waterfall. Now cars. What the what? And I can't even, there's no sense of where it's coming from. Okay, I'm just going to try to ignore it. but it's getting louder. There, I think I inadvertently stopped it. It was my computer. It was the Atlantic. I don't know. Sorry. So now I forget where I was. I know I was talking about travel. This made me think of one of the reasons airlines are one of the reasons I don't want to travel anymore. I'm just not a great traveler. I don't like crowds. I don't like standing in line. And I don't know if you've seen any of the, like where you go when you're traveling. Like if you go to France, where are you going to go? Well, you got to see the Eiffel Tower. Well, you got to go to Versailles, or maybe you go to see the Mona Lisa. Go to the Louvre. I've done all that, and I got to tell you, that's what I got to tell you. One of the things when you go to Europe, you go to churches. God, there's more churches and cathedrals, and they're all wondrous. But after a while, I'm sorry, nothing stays, nothing sticks, nothing. It's just like, oh no, another church, another statue, and the crowds. For instance, the Mona Lisa. Boy, is she a disappointment. And I defy anyone who has seen the Mona Lisa to tell me otherwise. Because for one thing, it's so small. It's this tiny little thing. I never really liked it anyway. I never understood. I never saw the mysterious smile. I thought she was a funny looking woman, and I never got it. So, but I don't understand art. But that's the one you got to see. Well, fine. There's a crowd of 100,000 people standing around it. So much for having a moment with the Mona Lisa. And this is the case anywhere you go these days, because so many people are bent on travel. The greatest vacation, stay home. I'm not kidding. I have a caller. Hello.
Hey, seeing the Mona Lisa has to be one of the greatest anticlimaxes of my entire life. But the reason I called
isn't that true?
Listen, your story about your speech could only be enhanced by if you could dig that thing up and read it over the air sometime, because I cannot imagine what you could possibly have said to the Mortgage Bankers Association, even in 1980 or 90 or whenever it was.
It was 2000. 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 23 years. But okay, so in the spirit of continuing to keep this light here, here's my quick story about purging. I'm digging through boxes the other day, trying to do the very same thing that you are. I open a box to discover what I do recognize somewhat, kind of, as a nursing uniform that seems to be covered in blood. So I call my wife down to the basement. I show her the box, and I say, why in the world would you? She's a nurse, of course. Well, why in the world would you ever kept this bloody nursing uniform? So she proceeds to tell me that it is the uniform she wore upon her graduation from Mercy Hospital School of Nursing 49 years ago. And as part of that graduation process, she made, apparently, they did some kind of activity where they tried to make, I'm going to say, for lack of a better description, a version of a Fabergé egg. right? One of these kind of decorated eggs that she included in this box when she put her nursing uniform away. Well, over the 49 years, this thing had deteriorated to the point where it was not recognizable as an egg at all, but it had created this red stain on the nursing uniform that looked like it was covered in blood. And I said to her, well, of course, this goes out in Friday's trash. If looks could kill, I would have been a dead man. But she said, there is no way in hell you are going to throw out my 49-year-old nursing uniform covered with this deteriorated egg that looks like a huge blood stain. And I just said, yes, dear, and closed the box and put it back in its place. So that's my contribution to the purging.
Well, never purge with anybody else because, you won't get anywhere. That's a great story.
That's right. I thought you might get a kick out of that. So
thank you.
Take care.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, gosh. No, I know many people, and I love many of them, who are close to being hoarders, can't let anything go. And God help whoever cleans up when they shuffle off their mortal coil. I don't know. Oh. Hey, I've been told, and I haven't watched them yet, but the University of Pittsburgh sports teams are football and not so good. Basketball, I'm not so good. I don't know about some of the others, but there's one Pitt sports team that is a national contender and is developing this huge fan base and will be on ESPN tonight at 7 p.m. Just telling you, it's the NCAA Final Four women's volleyball. And Pitt has been to this dance, I think, 3 years in a row now. I think it's the same four teams keep ending up there. And I think Nebraska is the one to beat. And I think Nebraska is the one they're playing tonight. But I was invited to a watch party, actually, at the University Club tonight. And I wish I could go, but I can't have engagement. But just telling you, in case you didn't know that was something you might want. I so love the fact that I have gotten through this show, or will, not done yet, without talking about any of the horror. Oh, I happened upon this too. Do you know, again, back to airplane travel. So you're at the airport and you're at your gate and they haven't even started boarding, and it doesn't matter because, on your little boarding pass, it says what group you're in. Talk about status. Geez, I'm always almost at the bottom. Not quite, but almost. And it's not like I don't pay full fare and all of that. But, first they board, oh my God, decrepit old people. I'm getting close to being able to do that one. And then families with babies, and then veterans or, like active duty soldiers, and then so-and-so awards members, platinum members, gold members, silver members, mauve members, on and on it goes before they even get to group one. All the people in group one thought they'd hit the lottery. No. But what happens is people start lining up. There's these huge scrums that form, even though there are specific, you're told you will becoming, it doesn't matter. People, this is again, psychologists, I guess, do studies on what the hell are these people doing? But they form these scrums. And I found out that the people at the airline have a name for the people in the scrums. And it shows how much they care about us, their customers, and the feeling they have for their customers. They call you, if you're in one of those mob scenes, gate lice. Gate lice. There you go. Okay. Hey, I had an interesting back and forth with somebody who we were talking the other day about, the university presidents, and I said it was, MIT, Penn, and Harvard, and that they were all Ivy schools. These prestigious Ivy League schools. Is Penn and Ivy anyway? Then the other day I said something about, is the University of Pennsylvania a state school? They're saying that if you're a private institution, you do not have to abide by the First Amendment, technically. Now, the University of Pennsylvania sure sounds like a state school. I went to the University of Wisconsin, one of my colleges. University of Wisconsin, that's a state school. University of Michigan, a state school. University of Florida, they're state schools. That's the name of a state school. But then I was told that it's a private school. Well, what is it? If the governor of the state is automatically on its board, and I happen to see today that the legislature in Harrisburg has pulled money that they were going to give to the University of Pennsylvania Veterinary School. There was $33 million that was heading their way. And now, because of the inability of the former president of Penn, Liz McGill, to say that anti-Semitism, or whatever was there, the legislature has pulled that money. Well, the legislature doesn't give money to a private school. So what is the University of Pennsylvania? It's not like, Penn State is, I know, a state university. But the University of Pennsylvania, I am so confused about what it is. What little bowl you put it in. Hoity-toity, I know, but you get my confusion here? Anyway, that's just something I'm throwing out. Maybe some fine, wonderful soul will let me know. I want to mark the passing of a great woman who I wish I knew more about, but since I don't get the local scab rag, I haven't seen a big obit on her, and that is former police deputy commander Teresa Rocco, who I interviewed a few times. What a wonderful human being. Just want to say, long life. She died at 97. She was something else, and nationally recognized for missing persons cases. I think she started as a clerk in the Missing Persons Bureau and ended up, one of the department's highest ranking leaders. She was great at cracking cold cases. She was a bulldog. A wonderful woman. Oh, wow. No, I'm seeing her obit. Wow. Wow. There's a big long obit here, and I suspect that some of you, here's a quote at the end. She changed the whole landscape of policing. She was a Pittsburgh treasure. She had a work ethic second to none. She came in early in the morning, and she wouldn't leave sometimes until the next day. Wow. So, Teresa Rocco, the life really well lived. And I'm sorry, I don't have the time to do more justice to her. Maybe Monday. Okay, I'll be back on Monday, despite what I told you yesterday. And enjoy this blue sky and there's a big orb in the sky too. It's amazing, amazing. Okay, see ya.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.